This sentence is good. There was a significant increase in the number of Ukrainian students. And this sentence is also good. It rose from 13 to 333. We've used formal vocabulary, we've given specific data, and it refers back to the number, singular, not to Ukrainian students, plural, so it's grammatically correct as well. However, if you're taking the IELTS exam and aiming to score 7 or higher in IELTS Writing Task 1 Academic, it's not enough. So we need to work some magic in order to go from good to great. Here's how. We go from good to great by turning two simple sentences into one complex sentence with a subordinate clause. In this case, by using which. Just make sure you spell which correctly. Remember that it's W-H-I-C-H and not W-I-T-C-H, which is this kind of which. If subordinate clauses, like this one with which, are rare and simple sentences predominate in your answer, the IELTS examiners are told to give you a score of 4 for grammatical range and accuracy. So you need to show them that you can form complex sentences with subordinate clauses. And when IELTS Writing Task 1 Academic is a line graph, a bar chart, a pie chart, or a table relating to a period of time, you can do that relatively easily when you give specific data. This is an example of the first of the 3 structures for describing change that we've looked at in previous videos on IELTS writing tips and tricks to help you with your IELTS preparation. And with this structure, we can use which to form a 2-part sentence with a subordinate clause. Remember that it's which, not who, because it's referring to the number of Ukrainian students. And there is also a comma because we're giving additional information which is not essential to the meaning of the first part. And we use the same tense in both parts of the sentence. In this case, the past simple, was and rose, but we use different expressions for go up in order to avoid repetition. Here we use the noun increase in the first part and the verb rose in the second part, but we could do it the other way around and use the noun rise in the first part and the verb increased in the second part. In the earlier videos on the 3 structures for describing change, I walked you through a range of options in terms of appropriate vocabulary. And in this video, I want to focus on the grammatical differences between the 3 structures when we give specific data in a subordinate clause. I'll put links to the previous videos in the description. You'll also find them on the playlist that this video is part of, and I'll put a link to it on the screen at the end of this video. Continuing with the first structure, if you want to mention a location or a time period, you can put it at the start of the sentence and still use which for the subordinate clause. For example, in Cambridge, there was a significant increase in the number of Ukrainian students, which rose from 13 to 333. Or between 2022 and 2024, there was a significant increase in the number of Ukrainian students, which rose from 13 to 333. For the record, these numbers are numbers I just made up. They're not factually accurate. I chose them so that the class of Ukrainian students I'm teaching at the moment can practice the th sound. Your top teeth, your tongue, starting position, 13, 333. However, when the place or time is the main focus of the point we're making, for instance, if we're comparing the number of Ukrainian students in Cambridge with the number of Ukrainian students in Oxford, we normally put it at the end of the main clause. And then we need to replace which with where or when, and add a subject for the verb in the subordinate clause. There was a significant increase in the number of Ukrainian students in Cambridge, where, referring to the location, which now comes last in the main clause, it, referring to the number of Ukrainian students, rose from 13 to 333. Or there was a significant increase in the number of Ukrainian students between 2022 and 2024, when, referring back to the time period which now comes last in the main clause, it, the number of Ukrainian students, rose from 13 to 333. As we've just seen, you could say where it rose or when it rose, but another word you can use as the subject of the verb here is the figure, because figure can refer back to almost any statistic. Here it's the number of Ukrainian students, because students are countable, but with an uncountable noun such as oil, it would be the amount of oil, and with a percentage, it would be the percentage or the proportion of Ukrainian students or oil. And figure can refer back to any of these. And if the time reference is a period of 3 years, for instance, I would use between ... and for the time period in order to avoid repetition, because we need to use from ... to for the increase in the number of Ukrainian students. If you want to include a location and a date or time period, we don't usually put them both at the start, but you can put one at the start and the other at the end of the main clause, depending on your focus. For instance, between 2022 and 2024, there was a significant increase in the number of Ukrainian students in Cambridge, where the figure rose from 13 to 333. Or, in Cambridge, there was a significant increase in the number of Ukrainian students between 2022 and 2024, when the figure rose from 13 to 333. Alternatively, you can put both of them at the end of the main clause, but then place in Cambridge needs to come before time between 2022 and 2024. There was a significant increase in the number of Ukrainian students in Cambridge between 2022 and 2024, when the figure rose from 13 to 333. This is turning into a relatively long video. So at this point, I recommend that you take a break by going to the description and listening to a couple of songs that will help you to remember how to say the magic spell. One of them is by the Steve Miller Band, and the other one is by Lady Gaga. Now let's look at how we form complex sentences with the other two structures for describing change when we give specific data. We do it differently because in terms of grammar, the number of Ukrainian students is the subject of the verb in each structure. The number of Ukrainian students increased significantly. It rose from 13 to 333, and the number of Ukrainian students saw a significant increase. It rose from 13 to 333. We'll take both structures together, and in each case we again have two simple sentences which we're going to transform into one complex sentence with a subordinate clause. Can you see what we've done? With these two structures, the number of Ukrainian students is the subject of the verb increased and saw. So instead of using which plus a verb in the same tense, we use the ing form, in this case rising, again after a comma. And whatever tense you use in the main clause, the ing form will not change. It will always be ing. The number of Ukrainian students increased significantly, rising from 13 to 333, and the number of Ukrainian students saw a significant increase, rising from 13 to 333. And as with the first structure, we use different expressions for go up in each part of the sentence. Here we've used the verb increased and the noun increase in the first part of the sentence, and then the ing form rising in the second part, but we could do it the other way round. The number of Ukrainian students rose significantly, increasing from 13 to 333, or the number of Ukrainian students saw a significant rise, increasing from 13 to 333. If you include a location or a time period at the start of the sentence, you also use the ing form. For instance, in Cambridge, the number of Ukrainian students increased significantly, rising from 13 to 333, or between 2022 and 2024, the number of Ukrainian students saw a significant increase, rising from 13 to 333. However, if you have a time period or a location at the end of the main clause, you don't have to replace the ing form with when or were plus a noun plus a verb in the same tense. In this respect, the second and third structures are different from the first one, because you can use either the ing form or when or were plus a noun plus a verb in the same tense, depending on your focus. The number of Ukrainian students increased significantly or saw a significant increase, then between 2022 and 2024, comma, and either rising from 13 to 333, or when the figure rose from 13 to 333. And if you finish the main clause with in Cambridge, it would be either rising or where the figure rose from 13 to 333. Remember that if you have both a location and a time period at the end of the main clause, the location, the place, comes before the time period. So you would use when if you were choosing one of these two options. And remember as well that with the time period, we would use between and, because we need from to for the increase. This has ended up being a long video. So if you've made it to this point, take another break and listen to Lady Gaga and the Steve Miller Band playing Abracadabra again to help you with the pronunciation of the magic spell. Hopefully you can see links to them on your screen right now, but if you can't, they are in the description.